Superstock tractors. These will be the Internationals, the John Deeres, the Alice Chalmers, and this is the class that normally the farmers really get up and root for. The semi-trucks, the three finalists, will follow the 9,500-pound Superstocks tonight. It'll be Don Gettelfinger, Ernie Metzger, and J.R. Collins, and we'll remember from session one that J.R. was unable to come back in the pull-off because he broke an axle. So a lot of exciting competition here tonight as Indy Super Bowl 13 continues.
All right, the stage is set. Enjoy session two. The opening class of session number 2 will be the 1,700-pound mini tractors, and we have 7 competitors, 5 of whom were involved in the 1,500-pound class. And here we go with Brad Shively.
Brad Shively out of Millmont, Pennsylvania, fourth for the Grand National Circuit. On his way, Chevrolet 468. And he comes just shy of a full pull. John, a full pull at session number 2, 234 feet. Brad Shively coming onto the gate. Excellent run for the Millmont, Pennsylvania puller. 468 cubic inch Chevrolet, and you can always count on Brad to be right there at the end.
And if the tractor pull officials are happy with the setting of the sled, that's a great way to start the class. That's a great pull for Brad Shively. Here it is on replay.
They light the tires up pretty fast, John. They don't waste much time. The drivers, of course, ran on session number 1. They know how to balance their tractors. And you can see just before we started this session number 2 event, they reworked the track just a little bit. They felt it was hard, and they wanted to loosen it up a little bit. Now, Brad Shively, being the number 1 puller in this class, has the option of either taking that distance or dropping 6 positions, and we should get word here from track officials in just a moment as he takes off his jacket.
But I would feel like that would be a pretty safe pull. Of course, you do have a lot of veteran pullers in this class, and we saw a very exciting finish in the 1,500-pound class in session 1.
Well, he has to make a decision now on whether he thinks he can come back 6 places later on and better this distance out here right now. 221 feet, 8.9 inches. 221 feet, 8.9 inches for Brad Shively, being the first puller here in the class.
And to the best of our knowledge, it looks like Brad Shively is going to take that pull, and so we move on to Larry Coopshaw from Wauseon, Ohio.
Larry's running a 500 cubic inch Keith Black Hemi. They call it the big KB engine. He finished 3rd in session number 1 of the 1,550-pound class. But in this session, we've added 200 pounds more weight to the tractors. Here he comes off the line. He lights it up right away. The front end may be a little heavy. Now it's starting to lift. Right down the center. He's going to that same line. Pull for Larry Coopshaw. A wild ride for the Buckeye puller.
And the front end never did really get very high off of the track, but he did get it off the ground around the 100-foot mark and kept it up and really got the tires dug in and had a lot of tire speed built up on that run.
Oh, just excellent for Larry. The Coopy Special, and he's...
Here comes on the replay, and we'll see the tires are down early in the run, and then right around the 100-foot mark, here they come up off the ground and never did get very high.
He didn't lift as much as Brad Shively's tractor did, and he had to have been working the brakes hard. You can see the angled for the corner, John. A good run for Coopshaw. He'll take the lead now with a full pull, and he took it way past the 234-foot mark, which is a full pull for session 2 and for the entire show.
So Larry Coopshaw has set the pace early with a full pull, and now here comes Dennis Horst from Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, defending champion.
Well, he won both of the mini rod classes of the 1985 Indy Super Pull, John, and he finished this year number 5 also on the Grand National Pulling Circuit. Denny Horst with Chevrolet, 468 horsepower. The Red Fox. Well, you wouldn't change a whole lot, John, if you were to rerun. He had it properly weighted. He drifted to the left slightly, but a good straight run. Excellent. He's going to come up a couple feet short of a full pull. The Red Fox, I'll tell you, the combination of Denny Horst and Brad Shively, these Pennsylvania pullers always put on a good show and are right there at the end, but
And we'll see it come up on replay. He got the front end up a little bit higher, right there around the 150-foot mark. He had it rocked up there nice and high and had the weight back.
Well, Denny's tractor and Brad's tractor are similar built tractors, and it'll start to lift here. Here it comes as he drifts to the left ever so slightly.
And the pull is good for 225 feet and 6/10 of an inch, 225 and 6/10. That'll put him in second place at this point. Next up then is Lois Refshauge, correct?
Lois Refshauge, that's right, unusual name from Waterloo, Iowa. She will be pulling first, and she'll be followed right behind her by her husband. Now, they have a very successful painting business. They paint many of the lines on the superhighways around the country, John, and so if you've been up and down the interstate highway, they might have painted the yellow and the white lines.
She's got
also been championship mini pullers, running a 526 kV heavy. It's a pretty lady. They're screaming the motor. Center, we've got a tie for the lead. Oh boy. And that brings the ladies to their feet here in the State Fair Coliseum.
And I don't know if we've changed the order, but that's no lady. At any rate, it goes as a full pull. And we'll take a look at it on the replay. It was a good, strong run. A lot of tire speed early. Here it is. He's away from the starting gate. And had the tire speed built up well. It's Dick Refshauge, that's her husband. So we received no word of that switch in the order of pulling.
I will be in trouble with a particular home in Waterloo, Iowa, I'm sure. We did not receive word here at trackside. And once the helmet is on, you can't tell. You really can't on the starting line.
And so 2 full pulls so far in the class. Larry Coopshaw and Dick Refshauge.
So Dick Refshauge will run back to back. And Lois nowhere in sight.
So Dick Refshauge is going to go back to back, as you mentioned, Dave, and we'll see if he can copy the feat he did a moment ago.
Lois will never forgive me. Certainly, the bodies do not compare in any way, shape, or form. From Waterloo, Iowa, Pro Track chassis, another 526 kV heavy. They'll crank this motor nearly 9,000 RPM. The Estate already won perfect run, going from back to back, full pole. Light on the front, light on the front. Still it's going to be a matter of inches.
A very close pull. He got the front end well up in the air as he passed the 150-foot mark and drifted a little bit to the left of the track.
John, as he takes his helmet off, he knows that he ran light on the front on this second run.
He's got to feel real good about that last preparation.
And we'll see it as he crosses that 150-foot mark.
Well, most of the time they'll have no mercy on their engines. They crank them pretty hard, and these KBs make a lot of power. You can see he was pumping the brakes out there.
And he did get the full pull. Couldn't have been by too much, but Dick Refshauge with back-to-back full pulls, and now that gives us 3 who will be involved in the pull-off. Larry Coopshaw and Dick Refshauge with 2 tractors. And the pressure is on for Glenn Gunther of Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
John, those folks that may be watching this tape for the first time and have never seen the mini tractors run, of course, you notice the big tires in the back, the small tires in the front. You're talking about the similar type of engines that would run in the big modifieds. 15 is 1600 alcohol supercharged engine in this 1,750-pound chassis. That's including the weight of the driver. So you're talking about an action-packed piece of equipment out there, and these guys give it all they got. Straddling the transmission, and it's a wild ride. Glenn Gunther out of Pine Bluff, Arkansas with the Precision Engineering chassis, a 588 Rodex. He's got the power. He could make the whole phone. He keeps it in a straight line. He's still down. Oh, he has busted it. He has turned sideways. The left front tire has broken. Evidently, something in the driveline has let loose, or the rear end. Our first major accident of the evening.
He slammed it down pretty hard. He got the front end to rise after he passed the 100-foot mark, and then it came back down, back up, and then came down hard. As you said, Dave, something let go in the engine.
Let's see if...
We'll watch it here on the replay. Here he's away from the starting gate, and as he passes the 100-foot mark, he gets it up in the air. Starts up here, up again, and then it's going to slam down hard. There it is. You can see that left front tire.
Evidently, drive line rear end let loose because it came down pretty hard there. You're talking about a tremendous strain. He'll come in at 165, 11.5. 165 feet, 11.5 inches. Tough break for Glenn Gunther from Arkansas.
165. Jim Cohen, I believe, is the right pronunciation.
Greer Hamilton's the last puller in the class.
Well, to make it a four-way pull-off, he's got to have a full pull. Last night's winner in the first section, the 1,550-pound class, 2,500 miles from Lancaster, California, which is just a little northeast of Los Angeles area, near Edwards Air Force Base. First year in pulling in 1985. He was a Grand National champion in the 1,550-pound class. He was the runner-up in this class, the 1,750-pound. Incidentally, the word on Glenn Gunther, he had broke the ring and pinion in his tractor, the buller from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. So here goes Greer Hamilton. He'll turn it loose. He is really cranking it. The tires are turning over 130 miles an hour. Left-hand side of the track. Oh, my word. He is throwing dirt. He threw dirt right here at our announcer's stand. A tough break. He's upset. Bad job of driving probably is what he'll say on his part. He's very upset with himself because he wanted to make it 2 wins here, and he's disgusted.
And you can see it there as he hops off of the tractor. That was a tough break. He got over to the left side of the track and really had to get on that right brake and get off of the throttle. And
the right front tire looks bent. The right front wheel is bent, so he has done damage to his. He had another beautiful pull going just like last night, but this time he was over on the left-hand side of the track. Here comes the replay now. He gets off to a good start. These minis really crank him hard to the line. They put the throttle, the pedal to the metal down pretty quick. Now he starts drifting to the left. He keeps drifting to the left. The tires are cranked to the right, and he has to let it down. He had run out of braking. He brought the front end down. That's when it bent the right front wheel. And he won't make it 2 in a row, John. We'll only have a 3-way pull-off going into the final round of competition here in the 1,750-pound. Disappointed face of Greer Hamilton. 207 feet and 6/10 of an inch.
the track is set and we're ready for the pull-off, and Larry Coopshaw is going to lead it off.
It'll be Coopshaw and both of Roughshoggy's tractors in here. The Satan Center 1 and the Satan Center number 2. Larry Coopshaw will come up first. He's backed up for the sled. The Wauseon, Ohio puller. They have now added some more weight to the sled. They may have had to put the box in a little higher gear as well, so we may be able to see the weight box move up the rails a little bit quicker. This is the time that it gets exciting, John, when we go into a pull-off. The second round of competition. We've already had the first round, and out of the 7 tractors, 3 made full pulls of 234 feet or better. Now, they'll have no mercy on the engines this time. They want to win the Indy Super Bowl 1986, the 13th annual, and to win it here with the field we've had would be a feather in anybody's cap. The Coopy Special from northwestern Ohio, Larry Coopshaw leads the line. See, John, the weight box was all the way to the front of the weight transfer machine. They put the maximum amount of weight on him out there. Excellent job of driving, because once that front end comes up off the track, you lose your steering, and you have to work the brakes doubly hard.
And that pull's going to be near 200 feet. Here comes the replay. He never did. It seemed like he was a little heavy on the front end. Never really did get it up very high.
He was fighting it.
Drifted a little bit to his right on the track, and very close to 200 feet, as we mentioned. Here it is. It's a 197, 3.7. 197, 3.7, and so Dick Roughshoggy has 2 chances to beat that one.
And now this would be the time that Lois would like to be here. Her husband, Dick Roughshoggy, coming up next.
Dick Roughshoggy is getting set for the first of his 2 tries.
Well, Dick Roughshoggy, and I followed him in all of 1985 and 84. We saw him up in Montreal back in 84. I was with Dick down in New Orleans on Bourbon Street. And if he's as wild on the tractor here tonight, John, as he was on Bourbon Street, he's gonna win this pole. Now, they did not have a particularly good 1985. They had a lot of breakage, but you can always count on Rough Shoggy to bend the throttle out there. He leaves the line, straightening the motor. The butterflies on the supercharger open up. 197 the distance to beat. Something came off the bottom of the engine. It looks like one of the hoses, one of the blow-by hoses, fell off the bottom. Didn't hurt anything. They're going to be a little short, though, of the lead.
It looked like he was kind of fighting that one all the way, and he's headed back for his other tractor. And maybe what's going through his mind is, okay, that one's over. Let's get back and do another one.
And this is the nice position to be in when you have two tractors in a pull-off.
Here it is on replay, and I don't know if we'll be able to see that hose fall off from this angle, but from our angle here at the announcer's table, we could see it. And you can see something coming out. Is that steam, water coming out of the bottom of the engine?
That's just blow-by from the engine. And you'll notice that these minis really twist and bend their frame out there, and this is one of the characteristics of them. You get a lot of flex in the frame. He might have been just a little heavy on the nose. He might have wanted to move 25 or 30 pounds back.
A 191 and 2.4 inches, but Dick Rough Shoggy will be right back with another try. And they're wheeling Dick Rough Shoggy back into position to get hooked to the sled. And I expect he's kind of put that pull out of his mind, and he's going to go all for nothing on this one.
No question about it, John. He'll let this one all hang out as well. They not only run the mini rods, but one of the few pullers that runs a different division as well. They run a big tractor with 4 of these KB engines in a 7,000 and 9,000 and 12,000 pound modified tractor. So they've had a lot of experience on modified engine-powered tractors. You'll notice they have the starter up there on the supercharger that cranks over the engine, and that's how they fire them up with a battery cart. So the distance to beat, 197, 3.7. We're on the mark right here. Oh, the wheel has come off. Look out. Let's get out of the way. The wheel is rolling right down the track. Be careful. It's going to hit the wall. And that's a very dangerous thing that just happened. Luckily, nobody was hurt. He is shaken. He is shaken visibly out on the track. Now, John, we've seen wheels come off from time to time. We're going to keep rolling right here at trackside. We've seen wheels come off before, but I don't remember one rolling quite that far. Luckily, it stayed in a straight pattern, and it hit the wall at the end. Nobody was hurt, but, John, I was out of my seat. I don't know about you.
I had it moved back and ready to bail out if we had to. But that indeed is a tough break. We'll pick it up here on the replay.
Well, certainly it's an axle braking, I'm sure.
You mentioned earlier that the Rough Shoggies had kind of some tough breaks in the past with breakage, and now he's got a big one here.
Right there it is. It hit the sled as it came off of the... And you'll notice that the wheel is really bounding around. We're lucky that the wheel straightened out, the tire and the wheel. We can see pieces falling off the tractor. And I believe that's part of the disc brake rolling off the side.
Right back by the 75-foot marker. And there it is. The wheel stayed in back for that full pull.
The only thing that the wheel made a full pull, but he didn't hook the tractor up, right.
So that's a tough break for Dick Rough Shoggy, and that means that the winner of the class is going to be Larry Coopshaw with his pull of 197 feet and 3.7 in the pull-off, and Dick Rough Shoggy will finish second with a 191 and 2 inches. And we'll hear from Larry Coopshaw with Dave Grimm just a little bit later.
Larry Coopshaw, you've got to feel excited tonight because you were battling some tough competition.
Oh, yeah, them guys run pretty good.
What did you think about Rough Shoggy? Now, he ran behind you in the pull-off. What did you think your chances were?
Well, the motors that he's got there are real good, healthy motors. He made a lot better run than I did on the first run there, but luck just happened to be my way tonight.
Did you get a good bite in the track?
Oh, yeah, real good bite.
Now, we noticed that a lot of the equipment was going from left to right and vice versa. What did you have to do? Work the brakes heavy?
I think more or less there that had to do with track conditions. I think they had some hard and loose spots in the track. That's what caused it.
Well, congratulations. This is your first win at Super Bowl 13, and let's hope you have many more.
Okay, thanks a lot.
We're getting set to start the 6,000-pound four-wheel drive class, and let's take a look at that lineup, Dave.
Well, we're going to start things off with one of the best in the East. From Winchester, Virginia, which is considered the capital of four-wheel drive truck pulling in the United States, Hilton Clark in a 1966 Chevy. He'll be followed by Bob Minnick, also from Winchester, Virginia. Tony Osteen will be number 3 out of Georgia with a 1985 Ford. There are 6 Chevrolets in this class, 1 Ford, 1 GMC, and 1 Dodge. And I would say that this is going to be close competition here tonight. Four-wheel drive truck pulling, one of the most popular classes in NTPA competition. Hilton Clark out of Winchester, Virginia will start things off. It's a 1966 Chevrolet. Now, these are injected motors. They will not make quite as much noise as the blown engines. He comes off the line. All four. Oh, he's going to the left. He runs off for the sign. He runs into the smoke machine. The weights fall off. We have had our second accident in a row here at Super Bowl 13. And the people in the front row were, oh, boy, they were a little excited.
And as we saw him head to the left here, I got a little bit excited myself there, Dave.
He evidently has either broken an axle in the front end or lost his steering, and what a way to start the four-wheel drive class. Let's see if we can see what happened as we look at the front end as he comes off. You know, John, he continued to move to the left. I wonder if something, well, no, the wheels start going to the right.
He pulled to the left initially, and then back to the right, and there, jumped to the left heavy. You can see it there.
And I don't know whether he lost the steering. The wheels are moving together as if the steering was okay. He hits the red man sign, hits the smoke machine tube. Let's hope they haven't done any damage to that. And you'll see the weights come off the front of the truck, and I can't believe he's got a little bit of a smile on his face.
It's just one of those little smirks. Like, what can I do? What can I do?
He almost pulled a Dave Stengel there. Of course, that'll remember about 8 years ago, Dave Stengel, the famous driver from Indiana, driving off the track. Hilton Clark, 96 feet, 11.8 inches. 96, 11.8.
On deck. Don't forget to get your
In the 6,000-pound four-wheel drive class is Robert Minnick from Winchester, Virginia.
Well, Bob will be pulling a 1972 Chevy. As the second hook, we have received word from trackside that Hilton Clark will be back. Evidently, he just lost control. Nothing's broken. We thought pulled back off the track. Front end was all right. Evidently, just losing control. You don't see that happen very often. So Bob Minnick will be our second puller, and they do not know on the track with the NTPA officials now as to whether the sled is set right, because Hilton Clark really didn't give it a good test out there. Tony Osteen on deck with the 85 Ford. This is the truck they call Super Hog. 513 cubic inch engine. He hesitated a little bit on the line, but he doesn't hesitate now. Right down the center. The weight box is all the way to the front. And he's going to come up about 20 feet short out there, but John, an excellent pull.
That's a very, very strong pull. Excuse me, a very strong pull. As you said, a little bit of hesitation at the line. But as he got out here past the 150-foot mark and near us, you can see that he had it dug in and had the power where he wanted it.
Here we go. Number 7.
Here it is on replay.
You can see all the weights out on the front of the truck. These are the weights to hold down the front. They don't use very much weight on the back because the chain is pulling down. He makes a good straight run. He was moving the wheels from left to right ever so slightly.
And there you can see the truck settle down at the end of the pull. It goes as 216 feet, 6.8 inches. 216, 6.8. And before that actually becomes official, we'll have to wait for the word from the tractor pull officials on the setting of the sled.
Looks awfully good, but they like to have them right down near the end. Incidentally, Dave Hager has come back onto the track with the old Ironsides NC Hybrid Plus sled. Bob Minnick, who just ran 216 feet, 6.8 inches, has turned down the run. He did not like the pull. He was the test puller because they restarted the class when he ran his truck. So on a restart, Bob Minnick, because he was the test puller, turned the run down. So Tony Osteen now should be our first official distance. Tony Osteen from West Green, Georgia, with a 1985 Ford, one of the toughest running Fords in North America, the only one in the class. So the Ford fans here at the Indy Super Bowl have come to their feet.
This is their one and only chance for glory tonight.
That's exactly right, John. Tony Osteen is a farmer from southern Georgia. He'll be followed by Bob Smith and Howard Lewis in Chevrolet. He doesn't waste any time coming off the line. Good straight run so far. In fact, an excellent run going. That motor's coming alive. He's really moving. John?
That's awfully close.
If this is any indication, this is going to be a close race tonight.
And he gave those Ford fans something to cheer about, as he's the only Ford in the class, as we mentioned, and he's very near a full pull.
Well, we disregard all of the previous distances because Bob Minnick turned down his original run, so this should be now the first official pull of the evening in this class.
And he did get the full pull. It's official.
Well, he makes the full pull as we watch the replay. And he made a good straight run. He didn't move the wheel, the front tires very much at all, and that's the secret of making good pulls, because once you start moving the wheel from left to right, you start losing a little bit of your traction and power out there. And
so Tony Osteen, the driver of the only Ford in the class, has done all he can do for those Ford fans. A full pull, and Robert Smith coming.
This year will they sign up at your
Another gentleman from Winchester, Virginia, Robert Smith, with the Three Bears pulling team, and he has a Chevy machine out there, Dave.
And a Chevrolet that's very popular with the kids because they call it the Three Bears pulling team. And Bob and his son and wife are very much involved in their pulling operation, and he should have a rider with him tonight, and the kids will always enjoy that because it's about a 5-foot-high teddy bear. Bob Smith from Winchester, Virginia. 3 truck pullers here tonight in this class from the Northern Virginia city. 82 Chevrolet. He's bouncing a little bit. More bounce. Now it's getting worse. Now it's straightened out. He's making a good run, but he's losing traction at the end of his run. John, he got to bouncing off the line, up and down, then it straightened out, and right near the end of his run, it started bouncing. He'll come up a couple feet short, but a good straight run for Bob Smith.
He lost a little bit of traction with that bouncing, I expect, and we'll be able to see that very well on the replay with the angle from the camera that we have. Here it is. He pulls away from the starting line, and you'll see very early in the run, he'll begin to bounce. Here it is. It starts, and he drifts just a little bit to the left, but
every time you have a bounce, you lose traction, John, and you've got to keep those tires glued to the track. That's one of the secrets of getting good traction. Otherwise, I think he would have had another 10 feet out there. 218 feet, 7.4 inches. 218, 7.4. And that puts him in second place. Of course, Tony Osteen in the lead.
All right, Howard Lewis getting set for the pull from New Carrollton, Maryland in a 73 Chevy. Tony Osteen leads it with a full pull. Robert Smith right behind him. Howard Lewis getting set to pull away. The green light is on.
John, this is a brand new truck. They just started debuting it. They ran it last weekend close to home at an event, and I talked to him out in the pit area earlier today, and he said it ran pretty good. Brand new chassis. Sheet metal is a 1986 Chevrolet as he comes off the line. He wants to make a full pull. Looking good. All 4 tires glued to the track. Howard Lewis out of the state of Maryland. He couldn't make a better run, John.
Good strong pull for the high roller of Howard Lewis. He had a lot of speed built up right there just before he got to the 150-foot mark and pulled it out somewhere around, we'll say 220 feet or so. We'll get it officially for you here in just a second. Here is the replay. Lurched just a little bit to his right as he got the angle on the chain straightened out to begin with. Building up speed, kept the truck in the center of the track, did a nice job of keeping it right down the center, and then there you can see spins out just after he past the 200-foot mark. It's 217 feet, 217, 6.6 inches, and that's not quite enough to move him into second place, as Robert Smith had a 218, 7.4, and so Howard Lewis lands in third position for right now. Tony Osteen leading with the full pull. Next up, Scott Johnson. Scott Johnson backing up and getting set to go from Perry, Oklahoma. 68 Chevy. One of 7 Chevys in the class tonight.
John, the Johnson boys, brother team, are professional pullers. I was with them a week ago down in Biloxi, Mississippi. This is all they do for a living. The oil wells at home take care of the cash flow, I do believe. They have a good time pulling, and excellent team. Now, they're running an Aries motor, which is nearly 600 cubic inches. Mike giving some instructions to his brother along the track. Scott will be doing the driving here tonight. Green flag comes out. This has got to be one of the favorites of the class. As they leave the line, they've got plenty of power. They turn it on. They are really cranking the motor over. Johnson going straight, rattling, pull. John, you can hear right at the end, it pulled that motor right down. That means the track is taking power here tonight.
It's a good, strong pull for Scott Johnson. You could hear the motor die a little bit here as he got right in front of us, and then he got back into us. So he got the tires down into the dirt and was really pulling hard. He had the weight box way up front. A nice, straight, strong run for Scott. 215 feet, 7.2 inches, 215, 7.2. And once again, that's going to put him in fourth position as we have a closely grouped bunch of pullers here this evening in this class. Scott Johnson from Perry, Oklahoma, 215, 7.2.
Before we go to Glenn Davis, we're going to come back in with Hilton Clark. Here's Hilton. He dropped 6 positions because he pulled early in the class. He's got a much better handle on the driving conditions this time around. The Dixie Digger is going to come up about 30 feet short. Then we'll go to Glenn Davis. Well, we'll remember with Hilton Clark, we'll never forget that first run. And because he was the original puller, he could run out of bounds and still come back and re-pull. So he was a very lucky guy. If he'd have done that, if he'd have done it later in the class, he wouldn't have a shot at coming back.
Here we see the replay. He had a good straight pull, and it's a strong one.
The only thing that we can imagine is that he just lost control that first run that he had early in the class, because nothing, as we can see, was broken.
And he, as you say, he was fortunate to be able to come back and pull in this class at all. As you say, he was fortunate to be able to come back and pull in this class at all. Have the distance for you in just a second here. Here it is, 208, 208 feet and 8 inches. And so that puts him in 5th place for the class. And next, we will be hearing from Glenn Davis. Now Glenn Davis is getting set, backing into the weight sled. Glenn is a defending Grand National champion, Hollywood, Florida. And Dave, those Chevys are running out of chances to catch up with Tony Osteen.
The Mean Green pulling team. Last year here in this class, Tony Osteen won it with the Ford, and Mean Green came in third. So Glenn Davis, if he wants a shot at winning here tonight, he has got to make a full pull. It's as simple as that. And send this event into a pull-off. His family is in the heating and plumbing business in South Florida. And Glenn is one of those bachelors on the NTPA circuit, and he just loves traveling around the country and going four-wheel drive pulling. He made one little hop there on the starting line. The engine sounds like it's pulling down a little bit, but no, he keeps going, he keeps going. And he's going to come up short, John, and time is running out now on these pullers. Glenn Davis, who was one of the favorites with his Chevrolet and had a good shot of doing it, is going to come up a little short.
And he sure dug up a lot of dirt at the end of that run. He was giving it everything he had and trying to get the horsepower he needed to pull it. It looked like he had a chance early, but it really, as you said, it dug in at the end.
Little hop here at the starting line. There we can see the back wheels hop just a little bit. I'm not sure if the starting line is tearing up a little bit or not. It shouldn't be in a four-wheel drive truck class. He makes a good straight run, and he didn't have any hopping problems in the remainder of his pull. 224 feet, 4.4 inches. And John, as we look over our lineup, it's going to put him in second place. So the Southern Connection right now running 1 and 2. Ford still on top with a GMC on deck.
Robert Minnick now is coming back for his second crack. He was the test puller in this class and decided to turn down the pull, and so now he's going to take his crack.
John, he turned down an original run of 216 feet, 6.8 inches. Now, it'll be interesting to see whether he can come back and better that first pull. Bob Minnick, who was the test puller, so we had a restart in this class. He'll be followed by Arnold Comert in a GMC and Jeff Reitzel in an 84 Dodge.
We've seen this kind of gamble pay off in earlier classes. We'll see if it does for Bob Minnick.
All right, the NTPA starting flagman, Russell out, hangs out the green flag. He's off. He gets a pretty good start here. Got some speed. Super Hog, 513 Chevrolet motor. And he gets the red flag from Mike Speller at the end of the track. And nobody has come close, John, to Tony Osteen.
And I don't think that's even going to be quite as far as his first pull, Dave, but at this point it doesn't really matter because he had to have the full pull to stay in the competition.
Well, he needed the full pull to stay in the competition, but remember, even if he loses a couple of feet, it could hurt him later on for the check in the winner's circle.
And we have a closely bunched group of competitors. There you see it on the replay.
We've got trucks at 215, 216, 217, and 218, so this distance is going to be important. And John, what a disappointment. It has backfired on him. 210 feet, 6.7 inches, and he's going to lose considerable ground out there. He had been in, John, let's take a look at our records. He had been in, what, 4th place? And now he's going to drop to 6th place. He has lost 2 position places by turning down that original run.
And so the gamble didn't pay off this time for Bob Minnick, but we have 2 competitors left to go after that full pull held by Tony Osteen. From Toronto, Ontario, Canada comes Arnold Coburn driving a GMC.
Well, Arnold retired from his oil business a year ago up in Toronto. He's left it to his son who's operating the business, so he's also become a professional puller and competes in about 40 events. His daughter has driven on many occasions, but tonight Dad's in the driver's seat. 75 GMC, the Canadian Warrior leads the line. Boy, he's got some speed up. Got a fresh motor in 1986. And he's moving it. He's moving it. And John, he's going to shake up the lineup just a little bit. He passed a number of his fellow competitors out there, and he gets closer to that top 3 position.
And these trucks will fool you. We're sitting here right about the 200-foot mark, and when they pass us, when they get near us, it seems like they have an awful lot of speed, and they're sure to make the full pull. And then they kind of dig into the track, and they just don't pull it out the end.
Here's the 1984 NTPA Truck Puller of the Year making his way down the track. He was maneuvering just a little bit, but it didn't seem to hurt him. As the weight box comes up and it gets him, and it gets all of these guys.
And I believe it's going to be good for 3rd place. That's not a that's a quick check there. It's a 221 and 2 inches. And we have Tony Osteen with the full pull, Glenn Davis at a 224, and then I believe comes Arnold Coburn at 221 and 2 inches. So that is a very strong pull for Arnold Coburn, 3rd place.
Give him a good hand, Dave.
Jeff Reitzel up next from Oriet, Ohio. In a 1984 Dodge, has been a point champion in the Buckeye State. You'll notice the drive line underneath the truck. They have made the shafts, the drive shaft, straight. A lot of times the drive shaft would be crooked running down from the transfer case to the rear end, but they want to make sure that all the parts are straight underneath there. They've got special tires on these. These are Dick Seebeck tires, special hubs, brakes. Everything is beefed up. These are not standard 4x4 trucks like you would find directly from the factory because they're pulling about 50,000 pounds of weight out on the track. It's session number 2. Jeff Reitzel, the final competitor in this class, if he wants to go into overtime, into a pull-off, he has to have a full pull. Tony Osteen's in the lead right now with his 85 Dodge. Here we go. Jeff Reitzel in the Dodge. He's trying to catch the Ford of Tony Osteen. He's on it, though. It's a good straight run down the right-hand side of the track. But he's going to come up a couple of feet short, and that's going to conclude this four-wheel drive truck class.
Once again, a very strong pull. As you said, he drifted towards the right side, and as he came towards that finish line marker, he was near the sideline. He gave it all he had and just couldn't quite pick up that extra yardage he needed.
The Honkin' Hulk, as he calls it, the 84 Dodge. I think I said a little bit earlier that he was trying to catch Tony Osteen in a Ford, but Jeff Reitzel gets down the track pretty quick, but the weight box comes up and gets him right at the end.
And it goes as a 2:16, 8 2/10.
And John, just to give everybody an idea, the closest to the competition, Jeff was in at 2:16, 8.2. We had Bob Smith at 2:18, 7.4. Howard Lewis at 2:17, 6.6. Scott Johnson at 2:15, 7.2. So the competition in this class is extremely close, the closest we've seen all weekend.
And so, Tony Osteen's going to walk away with this one. Tony Osteen from West Green, Georgia. He had the full pull, the Georgia Rebel. And we'll hear from Tony Osteen with Dave in just a few moments.
Tony Osteen's got to be a happy moment for you. This is your second win in a row in as many years.
Yes, sir. This is the third win.
Third win.
Right, third Super Bowl win in a row.
Wow, I tell you, you're racking them up. Listen, the folks here at the Indy Super Bowl are happy. A lot of your Ford fans here.
Yes, sir. I was only Ford in it tonight. I had to do it if Ford made it.
Well, you ran early in the class and you made a full pull. What was going through your mind? We had expected maybe one more out the gate.
Yes, sir. I expected some more out with me, too. I had a real good run, I guess. I went outside and went preparing because I knew that with the ones in this class, they should more come out.
Well, you've made it 3 now. You could make it 4 in a row if you win the second class this weekend. Congratulations here tonight, and best wishes in the 5,800-pound class coming up.
Thank you very much.
Tony Osteen.
We're set here to start the 9,500-pound super stock class. John Klug from Stockport, Iowa will be the first competitor in the class.
And John here is the defending Grand National champion in this class, and he's going to hook number 1. He arrived just before the pull this afternoon, a couple of hours. They drove all night from Stockport, Iowa, because they've been putting new sheet metal and some new parts on the tractor. They're hooking up the smoke machine right now. Of course, these are the majority of these tractors, and I think maybe it's almost 100% class, which will be diesel tractors, and the smoke machine is the large smoke tube that will pull the exhaust gases and all of the black smoke outdoors to keep the indoor of the Indiana State Fair Coliseum nice and clean. We'll have a little leakage sometimes around the smoke tube, but it's nothing too much. John Klug, who's won a number of Grand National Championships in NTPA competition, travels the circuit. He and his wife Connie operate a grain handling business in eastern Iowa. So we're ready to turn it loose. You're looking at tractors that'll be pumping out about 15 to 1,600 horsepower. This is a Ford turbocharged setup. That means 4 turbochargers all under the hood, and you can imagine the plumbing maze that must be. John, the horsepower is unbelievable. The tractor came from the factory at approximately 150 horse, and he's going to turn it loose.
It's a Case International tractor, one of 11 in this class.
We see the green light on the sled, meaning that the sled operator is ready to turn things loose. The green flag comes out. Here's our first big, heavy super stock tractor of the show. John Klug, who's not only the grain handler, but also the farmer as well.
And as you know, he's the first puller in the class, and will have the option of whether or not to take this run. He's away.
3688 Case International. Oh, one of the side shields comes off the tractor. He has exposed the motor. You can see the engine. And they lost some smoke back there, but the smoke tube taking most of the smoke out. The left-hand side of the side shield flew open. Norm Green is one of his mechanics buttoning things up. You can see they don't even have any of the lettering on. They just got it finished and got it here to the Indy Super Pole.
And here it is on replay. We'll be able to see that side panel fly open very well from this angle. There it goes right early in the pole. You can see it pull back. Didn't seem to affect the run a whole lot there. He drifts a little bit to the right side of the track, but no big problem. We'll have to wait now to see if he wants to take the run. The distance is 189 feet, 7.9. 189, 7.9 for John Klug on the first run of the 9,000-pound super stock class. Johnny Klug, being the test puller in this class, has decided not to take that run of 189 feet, 7.9 inches, and so he has the option to come right back and pull again.
Yes, he could have dropped 6 positions if he wanted to, John, being the test puller, but you got to remember the tractors are weighing in at 9,500 pounds, and every time that a tractor would drop today, the track is going to continue to tear up to some degree. He wants to run on as fresh a track as possible, and evidently the engine ran pretty strong that first time, so they're going to lighten the sled as we restart the class here in the 9,500-pound super stock class. The weight transfer machine, of course, now is weighing much heavier than it did in the four-wheel drive class that we saw previous. They're now up to about 65,000 pounds, maybe close to 70,000 pounds. And of course, these were original farm tractors, this being an International 1066 in its early days, and now it's a Case International 3688. So John Klug, the professional puller that he is, has decided to come right back in the number 1 spot. Takes a little bit of extra time here to hook up the smoke machine. Now Norm Green is looking in the side of the tractor. Well, I thought for a moment they were trying to get the shield open, and I think what he was doing was just checking to make sure that it wouldn't fly open. Normally we would see the Red Baron plastered over the side of this tractor with the beautiful paint job, but because they worked all day yesterday and got it done just last night, they've made the long trip here to Indiana. Now he's on it, the sled, a little bit lighter this time as he makes his way down the center of the track. The diesel's not quite as loud as he modifies, and the side shield comes open one more time. It didn't really hurt anything. It's hinged on there, and the only thing that it allows some of the other pullers to get a real quick peek in there and see if he's got any special goodies under the hood.
Do a little spy work here. The pull is going to be fairly close to what he pulled last time. Here it is on replay, and we'll see him pull away from the starting line a little bit to the right.
It's interesting to note, John, his original run was 189 feet, and as he winds up here, he is not going to be that much further ahead.
And look at this, Dave, 189, 8.3. He pulled it about a half an inch farther.
A half inch further, and they lightened the sled. That is truly remarkable. We would have thought that he would have put another 30 to 40 feet on his original run.
And the officials are checking things out and having to dig him out of the dirt a little bit. Johnny Klug, 189, 8.3.
Get that, John.
From South Charleston, Ohio, comes Danny Dean, second puller in the class.
John, we can note that most of the pullers in this class are farm-oriented and have their roots in agriculture, and Danny is just like everybody else. He's a farmer. Farms about 600 acres of beautiful land near Springfield, Ohio. It's an International 1066, Case International now. He finished in 3rd place in the Grand National standings, and he has had 5 wins here at the Indy Super Pole in his tractor pulling days.
And he backed out of that one. He started away from the starting line, but he backed out early, and I don't believe that'll be charged as a run against him. We'll keep our eye on it and see if we can tell what's gone wrong. He's talking it over right now with the officials who are at the head of the track. They're looking into the front of the machine, as you can see.
Well, this looks real good out there with a couple of guys, track officials, looking in the where the headlights would go on the tractor. And I think maybe they were checking out to see if he had broken a hose or not. Evidently not. Now, a lot of times these guys will not get what I call a head of steam or enough boost build up, enough pressure into the engine to bring it off the line. It takes a tremendous amount of power, and most of these tractors will be running anywhere from 150 to about 230 pounds of manifold pressure or boost. So they'll leave him hooked onto the sled. He'll go right back to the starting line, and he will get another attempt. Now, he did not go 75 feet, John, on his first attempt. So this is the one that counts. If he does not make a good run this time, then he'll just have to take what he gets.
Now the green flag goes back up, and the starter's ready, and you can hear him build up that steam now. He's getting some good torque up.
He's got most of these pullers use a hand throttle that you see his on the left as he comes off the line.
And this time he's away well. He's got the front up and the end up in the air. And he's got a good pull going. And Danny Dean is going to jump into the lead after a little bit of concern after that first try. He didn't get away, and now he looks pretty happy.
And you can see the smoke tube bending around a little bit, and Danny's got a smile. That moves him into the lead, well past the 200-foot mark. Incidentally, we can, while we're watching the replay here, tell everybody that we're using a laser measuring system here at the Indy Super Pole, and we're measuring very accurately.
And the pole is 210 feet, 9.7 inches, 210.97.
He got over to the right, John, while you were giving that distance, and he had to crank the wheels to the left, so he was laying on the left brake pretty hard, but still could be pleased at 210, 9.7, because it moves him into the lead.
Ernest Ropp from Kelowna, Iowa, is set to go. As you mentioned, Dave, one of the two John Deere tractors in this class.
Ernie Ropp's been pulling for many years, and a very colorful guy on the NTPA circuit. Pulls most of the pulls out in Iowa and Missouri and Nebraska and that part of the country. It's great to have him back in Indiana. He's running a John Deere 4430 called the Iron Elk, and Ernie himself is a John Deere dealer in Kelowna, Iowa. Talking to him earlier, and of course the ag economy hadn't been the best, but Ernie said at the end of the year they were able to sell some equipment there. Ernie Ropp now needing to beat 210 feet, 9.7 inches. An absolutely gorgeous tractor painted yellow and green, the John Deere colors.
Green flag is up, the starter is ready, and the weight sled man is ready.
They want to try to get as much of that smoke outdoors as possible. He blows her off the line, pops that clutch, and away he goes. The front end is up. He's got a good bite into the track, a good bite. A tremendous pull going for Ernie Ropp. It's going to be close to the lead. Oh, John, this could be an upset in the making here tonight.
And the Iron Elk comes through with a strong pull. He got that front end up pretty high right there around between the 75 and 100 foot mark, maybe even a little bit higher than what he wanted, but he brought it back down and got it back up again. And very strong pull. And the replay coming up, the pull is 217 and 7/10 of an inch, 217, 0.7, and he will go into the lead. There you can see that front end bounce up, and then it comes up again.
Well, this is, as we indicated in the first session of pulling, you want to get as maximum amount of traction on the rear tires. You may have to take some chances in this class. Well, he takes the lead now at 217 feet, 7/10 of an inch. Danny Dean in the Case International drops to second, and John Klug in third at 189, 8.3.
Next up in the 9,000 super stock class is Steve Blagrave, first half of a brother team who's here tonight.
Later on in this class, we'll have his brother Stan up in this class. So the Blagraves are farmers from Ackerley, Texas. They grow a lot of cotton, and this will be a International 1066, which over the years has been a very popular brand of tractor. The Internationals, there's no question about it, have dominated heavy super stock pulling in the 9,000 and 12,000 pound classes about the last 7 years in NTPA competition. But right now, John Deere is in the lead, Ernie Ropp. Here goes Steve Blagrave now. You can hear him building the boost, and those of us right here at trackside can hear the rush of the air and the exhaust going through the smoke machine as it is carried outdoors through about a 400-foot tube.
Away from the starting line, the front end comes up early.
Look at the front end pick up. He's transferring a lot of power. A good run as he's on the left. Oh, it's going to be close. And it's going to be very close for the lead for Steve Blagrave of the Blagrave brothers from Ackerley, Texas. We're going to have some of the tractors running 3 turbochargers under the hood and some 4 under the hood, John.
Very strong run for Steve Blagrave from Ackerley, Texas. The replay coming up. You'll see that front end get up high early in the run, and he really transferred the weight to the back of the tractor.
Maybe a little too high. Sometimes when you go up too high, you lose the drawbar at the rear end of the tractor, meaning the drawbar drops down as the front end comes up, and you don't have the pull down on the chain from the weight transfer machine to give you that traction. But you can see the flag over there on the left-hand side of our picture, and he's a couple feet short at 212.4.6. Ernie Ropp still in the lead. John Deere number 1, International number 2, as we go to Dickie Sullivan, who's the tractor that many of the drivers will be looking forward to, with War Eagle out of Naylor, Missouri, up next.
And Dickie Sullivan's getting set to pull, another one of the Case International tractors in this class that is dominated by Case International, but right now a John Deere's in the lead.
Dickie Sullivan, the rice farmer from southeastern Missouri, been pulling for many years. He's had several Grand National Championships, but in this class he finished 3rd. Klug, of course, was number 1 in the 9,000 Superstock in the 85-point standings. Jerry Hart, who we'll see a little bit later on, was number 2. Sullivan was number 3. Running 4 turbochargers, will turn the tires as fast as anybody, make as much power as anybody else in the class, and he's got to be the threat right now as he's ready to turn it loose. Dickie Sullivan, War Eagle, beautiful paint job on the side. You can see the 1 stack coming up right in the middle of the hood. There are 4 turbochargers underneath. He'll turn the tires at nearly 70 miles per hour on a super stock tractor that came from the factory originally at about 150 horsepower, now looking at 1,700 horsepower. He's off the clutch, he's flying, he's moving, the front end comes up, Dickie Sullivan's on his way, War Eagle, go, go, go! And we're going to have a new leader as our first full pull of the evening is made. He takes it out the back door.
And there was never much doubt about that when he got it up. They got the front end up early, got the wheel speed that he needed, and he just never hesitated on that one. Took it right off of the end.
Well, Ernie Ropp, he was able to say that he led the Indy Super Bowl for 2 tractors.
And there goes the domination of the John Deere for now, although there is another one coming. And Ernie Ropp hangs on to 2nd place at this point. Here is the replay, and you can see those front wheels really got to wobbling back and forth as the tractor went into the air as that right tire touched the ground. Now he comes back down and pulls it right on. Had to pull it a little bit to the left there at the end. But a very strong pull for Dickie Sullivan. The full pull by Dickie Sullivan changes the complexion a little bit. Now the rest of the pullers know that they're going to have to go out there and get the full pull to get the lead. We're set for Bill Berg from Farmington, Minnesota.
Bill Berg, who's a contractor by trade, running an International 3688. It was the Berg family that came up with the new style of Internationals, which revolutionized the look of the class. And a lot of the 1066 tractors now have gone to the new look 3688 Case International. Now, Berg certainly has a good chance in this class. If he can make, it's going to take almost a perfect run. Now the front end lifts. Hey, not bad at all. They're looking good. 4 turbocharger. He's lifted nicely.
And that's a good pull. It's not going to be the full pull, and it won't put him in the lead, but it is a good, strong pull, and it should be good for 2nd place.
It's going to take an awfully strong run tonight to beat Dickie Sullivan. He really has taken a commanding lead. Berg.
And here it comes on replay. You'll see that front end lift up, and he got the weight distributed very well on this tractor as he came down the track.
Now you'll notice the front end weights that are out there on the tractor. A lot of the drivers, of course, will be trying to decide whether to move those weights from the front to the back. Bill Berg.
And his distance is 217 feet, 5.6 inches, and that does just barely put him in second place, just ahead of Ernie Ropp at 217, 0.7.
By about 5 inches.
Just about 5 inches. And so, never enough with Bill Berg in second place with 217, 5.6. All right, Johnny Klug then is set to pull. He was a test puller in the class, and there was a restart, and so he's dropped 6 places and will come back and pull again. His test pull was 189, 8.3 inches, and so he's hooked up to the smoke machine, and the green light is on by the sled operator, and now the starter has the green flag up. The engine's being torqued and revved up, and here we go.
Well, this is the third run for John Klug tonight. Of course, the first 2 runs, then they reset. And Danny Dean was the first puller. So here goes Klug now. He's on, making a much better run, getting a lot of practice tonight. He's on top of it. Oh, boy, he's doing a wheelie now. Runs considerably better the third time around. John Klug.
Maybe the front end got a little bit too high late in that round. It really leaped up and perhaps rocked a little bit too far back, lost some forward momentum when he lifted up like that.
Well, they lose the drawbars we mentioned earlier, John. The front end comes up, the drawbar tilts down at the back. Now, the drawbars on these tractors is at a height of 20 inches. In fact, that is the maximum amount of height you can have to your drawbar. So when they raise that front end, that drawbar will go down by 1 inch to 1.5 inches, and you'll lose the pull down on the chain.
And you'll see it here late in the run. There he goes up, and here he comes up again. He popped up again. A little bit of up and down motion there, a little bit of hopping up and down. Here's the pull. It's 212, 7.1, 212 feet, 7.1. And once again, Dave, we're running into a class that has a lot of closely grouped competitors. We have a full pull, and then we go down to a 217.5, a 217.07, and then a 212.7.1. That's John Klug, and then a 212.4.6. So we have a close class going once again. Howard Meredith in another Case International 1066. I guess it wouldn't be a 1066. It'd be a 3688, correct?
No, this is a 1066. He has not gone to the new sheet metal series of tractor, John. That's quite all right, I tell you. You got to be close to the farm to be able to pick these tractors out. Howard Meredith, J. Howard Meredith, who's a farmer from Y Mills, Maryland, beautiful part of the eastern shore area of our country. He's run tough in the past and finished in the number 8 position on the Grand National Circuit in this class in the 1985 NTPA points year. Trucks many miles rather to NTPA events. The 3 turbocharger system. Now you can, what they're doing, they're waiting to build their boost, and once the boost gauge, well, you can see right there, evidently not enough boost off the line, and he came off the line too soon.
He's going to back that one up quickly. They have the officials coming quickly to the side of the tractor to discuss it and find out what went wrong. Howard unstrapping the helmet, taking a look around at the machine. And he's going to drop 6 places, it looks like.
And we'll resume things with Coleman Wheatley, our next John Deere tractor, up next.
Okay.
With one John Deere tractor sitting in 3rd place, here comes the other one. There's only 2 in the class, and this one is going to be driven by Coleman Wheatley of Bethel, Delaware.
Coleman farms 1,500 acres of a lot of vegetable crops on the eastern shore with the John Deere 4250. And he is somewhat semi-retiring from super stock pulling and has announced that the tractor is for sale, although he told me earlier today in the pit area that if he doesn't sell it, he'll keep it in the barn for sentimental reasons. He might get it out and pull every so often. But he and his wife, Mary Ellen, want to spend more time in some of their other hobbies. And he's been a tremendous asset to the super stock sport over the year. He's one of the favorite John Deere pullers nationwide, and he's off to a good start. Coleman Wheatley making a good run with the John Deere. The Delaware Eater Eater, as we get a look at the picture of his farm on the side shields. And Coleman Wheatley prides himself in a clean-looking and good-running John Deere tractor, and pulled for over 15 years in NTPA competition.
And it looks like it's going to be a good solid run of right around 200 feet, somewhere in that general vicinity. We have our view of the foot markers block now. It's a 197 2.4 that's for Coleman Wheatley. And here it is on replay. Once again, you'll see those tires. That worries me when I see those tires wobble a little bit. I don't know that worries them.
Well, you're a little scared after that mini one came off earlier tonight.
And a 197 2.4 for the other John Deere in the competition. Next puller in the 9,000-pound stock class, Bobby Byram from Suffolk, Virginia, in a Case International. He's building up the pressure and the manifold pressure. Set to go, needs the full pull to get into a pull-off.
Country Rose, he calls it. Pulls a lot of NTPA events on the East Coast, as well as a number of Grand National pulls. The tires in the back are the big Firestone 30.5s, and you can see that they have cut off a considerable amount of the tread or the lug on the tire. Good straight run down the track, lifting nicely over to the left-hand side. But he barrels down the track.
And that is a good strong pull. That could be good to put him up in the top 2 or 3 finishers. Of course, he can't force the competition into the pull-off without the full pull. What a strong run for the Country Rose.
John, we want to salute the guys out on the track that are working the smoke machine tonight, because they've got to unhook those smoke tubes, hook them back up on the starting line. They're very busy here. They get their exercise tonight, and a job well done, fellas. It's hard containing all the smoke. As we watch the replay here, he makes a good straight run. The hammer is down. Now he starts veering a little bit to the left, and he veers a lot more to the left. And then he has to pull the sled back around. And that's hard to do. That's why you want straight runs in pulling, as he comes in at 205 2.4 for Bobby Byram.
From Dayton, Minnesota comes Esden Lane, another Case International tractor. What do you know about Esden?
Well, Esden is the defending Grand National champion in the 7,000-pound super stock that we're going to see later on in this show. And he finished in, let's take a look at the results, finished in 5th place in this class on the Grand National standings in 1985. He's a dairy farmer by trade from Dayton, Minnesota. This was, here again, one of the new style tractors a couple of years ago. He lowers the front end, very competitive, and he doesn't build any boost.
Things are beginning to wind down here in the 9,000-pound super stock class, and Max Simpson's going to bring out the first Allis-Chalmers tractor that we've seen in this class.
John, this is one of 3 AC tractors in the class, and it's a real hot-running machine. They've won the 7,000-pound class championship in previous years. Max Simpson from Charlotte, Michigan, who's one of the vice presidents and on the executive board of the National Tractor Pullers Association. It's interesting to note he pulls an Allis-Chalmers tractor, but he's one of the chief people with an international dealership. This is a hot-running D21. They can turn the tires. They build a lot of boost. And he normally has it properly balanced, and you can see it is right now. Look at it go! Look at it go! Look at it go! Oh, boy! And we're going to have a shake-up here tonight in the standings as Max Simpson doesn't really surprise that many pullers, because they all know that he can run tough.
Mean ol' Alice. Mean ol' Alice comes through with a strong pull.
You know, one of the nice things is we'll see right here, John, when the tractor lifts, it stays up there. It transfers the horsepower, and you can see it gliding ever so nicely. Some of the other tractors, they'll come down and they'll bounce a couple times rather. But he gets the maximum amount of horsepower to the rear tires, and that's why he moves into 219 feet and 1 inch. 219 feet 1 inch. John, as we take a look, it puts him in 2nd place Awfully good run for Max Simpson.
Performing in front of his hometown crowd from Indianapolis, Indiana, Al Cook, another Alice Chalmers.
They call it the Alice Cowboy. Al has also been a past national champion in the 7,000-pound class. It's another D21, and if it runs as well for Max as Max Simpson ran just a little bit earlier, he could also be right up there in either the number 2 or number 3 spot, or maybe even take it out the back door. It's a 4 turbocharger setup. You'll notice the 2 stacks coming out of the hood. He can really spin the tires. He also has a very well-balanced tractor. He's a farmer from on the south side of Indianapolis, and he's one of the guys that could go home every night, John.
That's right. Looks like he's making some adjustments there at the starting line, trying to get the manifold pressure built up.
Watch the amount of pressure that it takes to keep that clutch down his left leg as he lets it off right now. Now he's on it, adjusting the brakes a little bit. He's on it. Oh, got a beautiful run! Got a beautiful run! Go, 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 go! Oh, my word! What a pull! John, I got excited. I got up out of my chair here, because we haven't had a run like that since Dickie Sullivan took it out about 7 runs ago.
Woo. I don't believe he got the full pull, but that was a very strong run. Around 150 feet, you could see that he just picked up the power and carried it right on out.
Well,
and we do have a replay on that one. He got the front end up a little bit right away.
Al Cook is known for making great pulls, and here again, he and Max Simpson lifting their front ends properly balanced and getting a maximum amount of horsepower. It's a 4 turbocharger setup, which only goes to show you that the Alice Chalmers can run fairly close to those internationals, or Case International. 227, 3.2.
Brett Berg is next up from Farmington, Minnesota, another Case International tractor.
And this is the other half of the Berg family. Bill Berg, his dad, drove a little bit earlier. Here's Brett Berg from Minnesota with the 3688 from very close to the Twin Cities area. Now, well, John, we weren't watching our monitor very well, were we? That's what you call the super stock boo-boo, because we noticed that Howard Meredith is up right now. Howard Meredith is running. We were expecting Brett Berg, but it will be Howard Meredith. Then we're going to go to Brett Berg, so we apologize to the viewers. Well, we had put him ahead of Brett Berg in our lineup when he dropped 6 positions, but we had missed it by 1. So we'll see Brett in just a moment. First, we'll go to Howard. The full pull, of course, Dickie Sullivan's in the lead. Al Cook's in second at 227 feet, 3.2 inches. It was Howard Meredith that had problems earlier tonight and had trouble coming off the line.
He's away this time.
He doesn't have any problems. He's got a good run going. Oh, beautiful pull. Beautiful pull. And he's going to be very close now for second place here tonight. Howard Meredith running down the left-hand side of the track.
A little bit like a running back going down the sideline trying to stay in bounds and get the touchdown. He was trying to stay away from that sideline and get it across the finish line and didn't quite make it.
Well, John, you know, a lot of the pullers will drop 6 positions and it doesn't improve upon their distance, but because his was so short the first time, he knew that he could only have better things ahead of him, and it certainly was. A lot of the guys have been down the right-hand side of the track, but he chose the left.
And here it is, 226 7/10 of an inch. 226 7/10, so that's good enough for third place, but not for second, as Al Cook had the 227 3.2.
About 13 inches off the pace for second place.
Now set to pull is Brett Berg from Farmington, Minnesota.
Well, now we go with young Berg, and you'll notice that the front end of the tractor has been lowered. This is the 3688. And in fact, those weights are almost on the ground out there. One of the theories being, if you get the front end down, it's that much harder to bring it up, John, trying to get the tractor a little bit better balanced. Beautiful machine. This is oh boy, this is the 4 turbocharger setup, but it's not going to work for him here tonight. And of course, he went past the 75-foot mark, so the run counts.
And he'll have to stick with that one, and I'm sure he's a disappointed young man.
Well, anytime you come to the Indy Super Bowl, you want your equipment to work. You don't mind if you have a driver screw up and if you lose it that way, but to have engine problems, that just isn't the way to go.
And now the second half of the Blagrave brothers team. Stan Blagrave is getting set to go from Ackerley, Texas, another Case International tractor. His brother Steve ran a little bit earlier and came in with a pull of 212, 4.6 inches. The green flag is up, and Stan is building up manifold pressure on the tractor, waiting for the start signal from the starter. Some time in building the pressure up, and now he's away from the starting line. Starts slowly and smoothly. There's the front end. He's coming to the left side. He'll have to pull it back to the center, and he stays inbound. Still has a lot of momentum going. He's going to be close to the full pull mark. He doesn't reach it, and I don't believe he quite made second place either. We'll wait for the official stats on that. He drifted way over to the left, but did not really lose as much momentum as you might have expected. Stan Blagrave of Ackerley, Texas. Here it is on the replay, and you'll see him. He starts out okay. He gets away from the starting line smooth, but then begins to drift to the left, starting to pump that brake. Nearly across the sideline there. You can see those left side tires awfully close to the chalk mark, but he was able to pull it back in and straighten it up and keep quite a bit of momentum for having to jump around like that. Here's the full 221, 11.2, 221, 11.2, and that's going to put Stan Blagrave in fourth place at this point. John Lancaster from Trafalgar, Indiana, another local personality, has the final Alice Chalmers tractor in the class. Dickie Sullivan still leading the class with the full pull. John torquing it up down at the other end. We've got the green flag up by the starter. And we only have a couple more competitors in the class, so one of these guys, if they want to force it into a pull-off, they're going to have to act now.
John, here's the guy. There's two guys left, Lancaster and Hart. Both of them have got excellent shots. We've had some good runs late in this class. This is the Ford turbocharger Alice Chalmers 210. He could do it. He's got to go, though. He's on the left brake. John Lancaster. Oh, it's going to be close. Go, Lancaster, go! Oh, my word, I don't know. We've seen some great runs by Alice Chalmers. Max Simpson, Al Cook, and John Lancaster have really done a fine job of driving for AC tonight.
That must be such a helpless feeling, and there's water dripping out from under the down the bottom of the tractor. We'll see if we can get a shot of that. But that must be such a helpless feeling to get that close to the full pull and not be able to eke out any more feet.
Oh, isn't that, though? The weight box is coming up on you, and it gets you.
There's a good shot of the water dripping out from under the front of the tractor. What does that indicate?
Well, I think, John, you probably had that happen occasionally on your car truck at home during about a 100-degree day in the summertime. It's called the radiator is overheating.
Fortunately, no traffic jam. Here's the replay. And he pulled away from the starting line smooth, and then we could tell there was a little hesitation. Pulled to the right.
He drifted to the right at about the 75-foot mark, and I think maybe that he would have liked to have changed that because it might have changed it by 4 or 5 feet. And that's all it would have taken to move in the lead. 229 feet, 0.2. 229 and 2/10 of an inch. Only 5 feet short of a full pull here tonight. What a tough break. Johnny moves into second.
One competitor left. Dickie Sullivan leads it with the full pull, but we have a gentleman here who could do it.
Well, I said just a moment ago that Lancaster had a good shot at it, and he fell about 5 feet short. Here again, we've got another guy that's got an awfully good chance of tying Dickie Sullivan. Jerry Hart finished in second place in the 9,000-pound Superstock standings in the 85 NTPA point standings. He's from Vandalia, Ohio, which is just north of the Dayton area in the Buckeye State. Now we see the green lights are on the weight transfer machine, except the track equipment here at the end of the track, at the finish end, hasn't gotten off. They've been packing and grading, and the track crew has done an excellent job because, John, for the second session in a row, the track has remained in excellent shape from start to finish. It really hasn't mattered if you pulled late in the class. We've seen some excellent runs here, especially with the Alice Chalmers tonight.
And one of those just a moment ago, as you said, very late in the class, late in the session. And now we're getting set to go with Jerry Hart.
The final tractor of the evening in the 9,000-pound super stock. It's up to this man. If he makes a full pull, we go into overtime. If he falls short, Dickie Sullivan wins it. It's as simple as that. Jerry Hart with an international 1066, the Buckeye Barnstormer. Everybody's got their eyes on this man.
It's away from the line, straight.
So far, so good. He's up on the back 2 tires, looking good. But he's bouncing now, bouncing. Oh, my word. And he lost that as the front end gets the bouncing just a little bit.
And that's just about as close as you can come, but I don't think that's going to do it. He
no,
just lost and you can see the expression on his face there. He's shaking his head and saying, I gave it all I had.
He did.
We'll see the bouncing effect that you talked about on the replay, and that may be what cost him the full pull.
What's happening late in the run? He's going up and down, which means now the drawbar at the rear is going up and down as well. And that's got to have an effect on the way that you're pulling that 70 to 75,000-pound sled out there. Well, he's got somewhat of a half smile because that's going to put him, I believe, at least in the top 5. 225 feet, 10.2 inches for Jerry Hart, the Buckeye Barnstormer. Puts him in 3, John indicates.
And so we do come to the end of the class, and Dickie Sullivan has won the class, the 9,000-pound super stocks with the full pull. Number 2, John Lancaster, and finishing 3rd, Jerry Hart.
Well, I believe we have a correction.
Oh, yes, that is a correction.
Howard
That's right.
Meredith comes in at 226 for 3rd. Howard Meredith. And, John, then I believe you're in with 4th place on Jerry Hart.
And we'll talk to Dickie Sullivan in just a moment.
Dickie Sullivan, your 3rd championship win here. It's Super Bowl over the years that you've pulled here, and it came out in dramatic fashion. You had made the full pull early in the class, and I mentioned to John it was going to be tough to beat, but you must have been on pins and needles because those Alice Chalmers really gave you a run for your money late in the class.
You bet. The last 5 or 6 tractors made an awful good run, and had a little luck. I used the clutch to slide it out of the hole, heat the traction, and then it just worked out for me.
How did the track perform tonight? It looked pretty fair from start to finish.
It was real good. It was even. I was afraid it might be a little bit holy, but it wasn't. It was a good track all the way through.
Did you have to work the brakes very hard?
Yeah, all the way. You had to get the front end up, and I was on the brake from about the 75-foot mark all the way to the end.
Now, for those folks that are really into super stock pulling in motorsports, how much boost were you working out there in your Ford turbocharger system?
About 235 for that.
235 pounds of boost. The number 1 super stock tractor in the country here tonight at Indy Super Bowl 13. Dickie Sullivan.
In session 1, we saw 5 20,000-pound semi-trucks compete, and the top 3 from those 5 were to be here tonight, and we've received word that Ernie Metzger, who is one of those 3, is not here, and so we'll be seeing Don Gettelfinger and J.R. Collins pull for the championship in this class. Don Gettelfinger from Palmyra, Indiana, gearing it up, getting ready to go.
Boy, he's got it in a high cog, a high gear, so the weight box comes up on him. This is for all the marbles. Gettelfinger Farms. Oh, it's shaking, it's vibrating, the front end is up. It's about 18 inches. Oh, and he brings it down. He tried awfully hard, John.
Kept trying to get a few more feet out of that pull, and finally the weight sled decided that we were going no further.
And, John, I imagine a lot of the semi-truck drivers that pull over the road up in the audience are probably cringing when they see that front end come up off the ground.
An awful lot of force being put on that truck.
He calls it Little Boss.
Here it is on the replay, and once again, as is characteristic with these trucks, that front left side tire tends to get up off the ground, and there at the end you see both of them come up and then back down onto the track.
Would you say the frame is twisting just a little bit, John?
Just a little bit. Here's the story for Don Gettelfinger, 189 feet, 8.5 inches, and Coming up, J.R. Collins. Collins makes the onslaught for the lead. He has to beat 189 feet.
More turbochargers. Oh, the smoke machine. Oh, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, he came to a stop.
Something sure gave way, and I believe that run's going to count.
Hey, listen, the ghetto fingers are jumping up and down. They're saying they've done it. I don't know what happened. He was rolling. And this is the second night in a row that this machine, who was certainly the favorite, he's looking under the hood, and it has broke, John. No question about it. He's either blown a tube, and J.R. Collins, who has more power than anybody last night, broke an axle. Today he has broken something under the hood, and we've had an upset in session number 2 in the semis.
It sure gave way quickly. You could see it cut out. Here it is on the replay.
The truck that's valued at $150,000 and 2,000 horsepower. There it is. Wow. I believe he'd have gone out the back door, John.
He's got all the power, but the mechanical timing hasn't been good. It just hasn't gelled. Not everything has fallen together for J.R. Collins in the 1986 Indy Super Pole.
John, we have just learned it was not under the hood. It was the kill switch. They're going to give him another run. This is his second chance. And the third attempt may be the charmer. Because last night he had mechanical problems and continued here tonight. But they say the kill switch fell out. It was no fault of his own at the rear of the truck. So they're still working on the smoke machine. This is the truck that has 4 turbochargers under the hood that we mentioned before. There are 104 lights. I counted them one day, John, of all things on a slow day. 104 lights. He has a truck similar to this being an 84 Mack. He also has another 84 Mack that he uses as his on-the-road truck that he hauls this professional semi truck. Of course, you can see the tilt front end on the truck, and it's special design for semi-pulling, and he's pulled all over the country as a professional semi. Also runs his own trucking business back home in Chardon, Ohio, just east of the Cleveland area. So now everybody gets another chance to see J.R. Collins. They call it the Killer Mack.
And you'll be able to see on some of the camera angles that you will see the word killer flashing in red lights on the front.
They've got a little bit of problem with the smoke machine right down here at our announcer stand. They're holding things up because something has happened outside. It could be the vacuolator, could be the tractor that runs the vacuolator that sucks the smoke outdoors.
They're trying to decide whether or not to go ahead and let J.R. Collins run.
They say they're going to turn him loose. This could get a little smoky in here right now, John, but it's the last run of the evening.
Green flag is up. J.R. Collins making the assault for the lead. Has to beat 189 feet to win the class.
Boy, the ghetto fingers might have celebrated just a little early. Look at the smoke now. Oh, boy, look at him go.
And part of the smoke tube came disconnected. The sled man has jumped off of the back to get out of that smoke. And a few toots on the horn, a few blasts from the horn of J.R. Collins, and I believe he took the full pull.
And our sled operator, Ron Hickson, laying on the ground out there, he got a snootful. And they're all sort of laughing out there. Well, folks...
And now I see why they have that smoke machine.
Yeah.
Here comes the replay. You'll see the smoke tube break in about the middle of the run.
Now, the guy we're worried about of this is the sled operator. He's sitting on the rear of the transfer. He's getting a mouthful of smoke. They had a problem with the smoke machine outdoors, and look at the damages this has done. This could cost them with the smoke tube. They're going to have a whole day to repair it, John.
And so that wraps up the 20,000-pound semi-class here in Indy Super Pole number 13 in 1986. J.R. Collins, the champion.